During the night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Up, leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go, worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and herds, as you have said, and go, and also bless me." The Egyptians urged the people to hurry and leave the country, for otherwise, they said, we will all die.
Abraham and Sarah eventually have a son named Isaac. Isaac then has a family of his own, and one of his sons is named Jacob. Jacob has a powerful encounter with God, and God gives Jacob a new name, Israel. Israel then has many sons himself, and if you've ever heard the phrase, the 12 tribes of Israel, this is where that phrase begins. Jacob, now called Israel, has sons who go on to start their own families, different tribes, all descended from Israel. Shortly thereafter, famine hits, and the sons of Israel are forced to move their families to Egypt. Now, initially that goes well. One of Israel's sons, Joseph, has found favour with the Pharaoh, the king in Egypt. But after a generation, there's a new Pharaoh in town, and he's wary of the many Israelites who are now living in Egypt. The Pharaoh begins to oppress and enslave the Israelites. God's story describes it like this. They made their lives bitter with hard labour in brick and mortar, and with all kinds of work in the fields. In all their hard labour, the Egyptians used them ruthlessly. God wasn't absent from this moment though. The Bible tells us that he heard the cries of his people to whom he'd made a good promise, and he was concerned for their welfare. Enter Moses. Moses was an Israelite descended from one of Israel's sons, Levi. One day, Moses had happened upon an Egyptian beating an Israelite. Moses' anger had flared, and he intervened, killing the Egyptian and then hiding his body. Then, racked with guilt and shame and fear over what Pharaoh might do to him, Moses fled. But while he was in hiding, Moses has a powerful encounter with God. He sees a bush that's on fire but isn't burning up, and he hears God speaking to him, saying, "I've heard the cries of my people. I'm sending you to Pharaoh so that you can lead the Israelites out of Egypt." Now, what a thing that was to say. Moses wasn't the most confident person, and more than that, he was a flawed man. A man who'd made some bad choices. Was there really any coming back from that? And so Moses asks God how he could possibly undertake this huge task. And God replies, "I will be with you." And this is something we'll see in the Bible over and over again. And it's a pattern that continues today. In God's story, God takes individuals who are broken, flawed, weak, marginalised, poor, all by human standards, and invites them into that story and tells them, "I will be with you." Exodus is the second book of the Bible, and it's a word that we still use today to describe whenever many people leave. And that's exactly what happens. Moses confronts Pharaoh, asking him to let the Israelites leave. God demonstrates his power to the Egyptians by bringing different plagues upon the country. The Israelites are finally given leave to go, but Pharaoh and his army chase them down to the banks of the Red Sea, where God makes a safe path through the waters for his people, but then closes the waters on the pursuing army. God's people are free from Egypt. But how are they to live now? And where will they go? We'll hear more about that next time.